Hello, viewers. I'm Vibhuti Jha. This is Jaipur Dialogue USA, and we are back again for a conversation. As always, please like, subscribe, and support our channel. Give your feedback, and we value your thoughts. Today, I wanted to talk about the issues that are emerging out of Bangladesh. We know we know that the Sheikh Hasina's government is not in power anymore, and Muhammad Yunus is the caretaker president of the country. The country is going through a turmoil. The attacks on Hindus, the Bangladesh political economy itself is in a mess. Whether Muhammad Yunus will be able to restore democracy in Bangladesh is an issue which is up on a toss. To talk about these matters, and I also believe I want to talk about that the issue with Bangladesh has a very far diplomatic and political and religious significance. It's not something new. I mean, a few days ago, if you remember, I talked about Noah Khali. Did the show with two wonderful ladies talking about, is Noah Khali repeating itself in Bangladesh? The Hindu genocide is going on all the way, destruction of temple and whatever else. So my thought process is that a generally sleepy Hindu, generally benevolent Hindu, generally non-involved, non-attached Hindu, will it get ignited enough to create their own methodology and create their own call that this is enough? To talk about this matter, I have great privilege in welcoming people, two people who are in US but who are Bangladeshis, and Mr. Jamal Hassan and Sachi Dastidar. Both of them are here today to join us. Both of them have done enormous work in their domains. So I will request Jamal Hassanji to give your short introduction and welcome to the show. And I think we will have more conversation as we go along, because one 45-minute session is not enough to dwell upon all issues. So Jamal Saab, please introduce yourself and tell us what you feel is going on in Bangladesh and what needs to be done right away.
Good morning, Vibhuti Jha. It's nice to be in your portal and also with my good friend, Dr. Sachi Dastidar, whom I knew more than 2 decades. Let me introduce shortly, as Vibhuti has already outlined. I'm a security analyst, an American citizen of Bangladesh origin. I had diversified experiences both in Bangladesh and USA. In Bangladesh, I was a news producer of BTV, Bangladesh Television, then only one station, TV station in the country. And also I was the Export Promotion Bureau's assistant director. In USA, I worked more than 20 some years in libraries, in federal and state level. And not only that, I was embedded in Defense Department, DOD, and I was deployed in countries like Qatar, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. I was not only linguist, Bengali linguist, I was also a cultural advisor or cultural ambassador, and also that I was working with the counter intel teams in those countries. So I had a very good experience in USA counter intel matters. And Vibhuti, you were asking me about the current situation in Bangladesh specifically?
Yes.
When we talk about, it is the unique situation in a sense, if you take into account the subject of genocide. Genocide against minority Hindus is nothing new. We knew that during the liberation of Bangladesh, 1971, 22% and upwards were Hindus. Now, what happened? It's depleting. Every year it's depleting. It's coming down to 8 or 7 nowadays, 7% of the whole population. So in every regime, during every administration of Bangladesh, there were persecution of Hindus. Degrees could vary. Maybe during the Hindu, quote-unquote, Hindu-friendly Awami League time, the Hindu persecution was less, but it was not non-existent. Hindu persecution was still going on by the many of the Awami League hooligans or people connected with the ruling party, Awami League. But worst thing happening now when Mr. Yunus came on the shoulders of jihadis, because this so-called quota movement was nothing but a global agenda of jihadi people, mainly engineered by Hizbut Tahrir, I mean locally, Hizbut Tahrir, Jamaat-e Islami, all Ansarullah Bangla team, and many of those, outfits of what I call it, jihadi groups. Unfortunately, it is speculated that it was orchestrated by globalists like Soros or Clinton Foundation, who are tied with Mr. Yunus. The problem with these jihadis, when Vibhuti brought the subject, that when the jihadis come to power, is generally irreversible. What we saw in Afghanistan or Iran, it's very difficult to reverse the course. Basically, the dogma comes with the religiosity. It's not only political, just ideology. There is also religious materials embedded into it. So now the problem is, as I was saying, that right now persecution or genocide is going against Awami League. My friend in Jatrabari, he told me on 5th of August evening, a young student league leader who was like Chhatra League leader, not leader, he was a kind of a follower probably. He was not a bad guy. Local people say he was not a hooligan or something, like many of the Chhatra League members are blamed to be. So this guy, how he was attacked? He was attacked by 5 or 6 unknown people in their house. They basically chopped his head. So I'm talking about one eyewitness who knows me, that happened in 5th of August. 26th of August in Uttara, one Awami League member who is connected with the local union member in Uttara, and hundreds of people stormed into his house, second floor, and people from outside could see he was beaten to death. So I'm talking about 2 eyewitnesses who knew me, told me. So it is happening every day. Dr. Dastidar, you might know Dr. Nurun Nabi of New Jersey.
Absolutely.
Dr. Nurun Nabi, you know very well. Dr.
Very
Nurun Nabi is Awami League supporter, not leader. Nobi was working with a Colgate and he owned some patents. He is not poor. He has money, Dr. Nobi, and he is not a thief. And some people say every Awami Leaguers are thieves and robbers, which is not true. Dr. Nobi opened up a little library in his village in Mymensingh district, okay? And he gave money to certain schools. And basically some kids were being, being groomed or being educated because of his help. So what happened? The hooligans destroyed his library. Not only that, recently what I was told, one of the students whom Dr. Nobi helped became a hardcore jihadi, and he wrote to Nabi using the word tumi. Tumi is generally, we tell the younger brother or servants, tumi or tui. So they said, if you come to our village, we will burn you like we burnt your library. So you see how many examples I can give you. Sheikh Hasina's family home, Shudha Sadan, was burnt. Sheikh Rehana's house in Gulshan was burnt. And I'm talking about that one of the ministers, many ministers' houses of this time. When we see the burning of Malibu or facilities in California, or on areas or rich areas in California burning to ashes, we know it may be done by the nature. But in Bangladesh, the jihadis are burning Awami League peoples, Hindus, their habitats, their businesses, and Hindus are in worst situation this time. I mean, I cannot explain how much, because in the meantime, Indian government, West Bengal government has blocked all the routes because of possible infiltration by the jihadis. Mamata Banerjee has successfully blockaded. So Hindus cannot even escape. And Dr. Dastidar and I agree one thing, that they have been escaping years after years, but it's time to fight back. It's time to resist. I agree with Dr. Dastidar when he says that Hindus should not always die, and do nothing. Rather than they should fight back and resist. Otherwise, they will be finished like ants or like little creatures at the power of powerful entities. So that
Thank you. Thank you for a very powerful opening statement. And Sachida, I wanted to get to you because you are a historian, you are a Hindu fighter, and you have done yeoman service in terms of restoring temples and winning cases on that. So, with a short introduction of yourself to our Jaipur Dialogue audience, I want to take back on Jamal's statement that Hindus have to fight back. The era of lying low and suffering, enduring pain, killing, murder, rape, all that stuff is over. Enough is enough. So, as a Hindu, as both of you are fighting for the truth, tell us your prescription. Where do we go from here? Because I believe it is Noah Khali happening again, and it has to stop. We are in 21st century. People get the visuals and audios, everything almost instantaneously. Sachida, your floor.
Namaskar. Greetings. My full name is Sachi Dastidar, but my parents call Sachi. So my professor here in America, when I first came, he says, I like the name Sachi. And that's how my sisters and everybody calls Sachi, except for two older brothers called Sabya. Anyway, so what you're asking is an extremely very important question. This is the contradiction that, as I said, I didn't say. I grew up in the 60s in West Bengal. I was a student of engineering college, Bengal Engineering College. And in the 60s, we all supported left and ultra-left. And so they taught us that you have to be atheist. So, but once I started visiting my ancestral land in 1982, what I found out that there was a tremendous number of secular Muslims who came to airport to take us up, and even somebody else took to their home, staying over there. Then when we went to our village, where I had to take overnight journey, a complete stranger, a Muslim gentleman, took the ship to protect us. So you see the brighter side. But on the other hand, what I found out, how racist our left was. Because we were all turned, atheists. So when I came back and asked some of the leaders, if you have no religion, why have you left your homeland in Bangladesh? You may not know, Vibhuti Babu, almost all leaders of West Bengal and Tripura are from Bangladesh. Almost all. Jyoti Basu was a famous person. He was from Dhaka district. His follower, Mr. Bhattacharya, is from Barishal district. And even currently, this lady, whose father was born in Khulna. Yet, nobody even protested even one time. I still remember in the 1960s, there was a Hindu genocide in Bangladesh, which is called, at that time called Hajrat Bal killing, Hajrat Bal Danga, killing. It's a genocide. And it was the leftists who were taking us for marching in Kolkata. I didn't join, but they invited, to protect Vietnam, to protect South Africa, to protect Palestine, protect American black, which is fine, but not your parents. This is the extreme side of us. And that's why I even call Hindus not living beings. That even a cow, if you take his calf from it, the mother fights back. If you we had we had pigeons at home, many pigeons. When they're babies, when they're eggs, if you go nearby, they will fight back. But I went to interview a person whose 27 members were beaten in Noakhali during 46 genocide. 27 members then burned alive. So when I went for interview, actually, if you go to YouTube, we have a channel. Ishpath stands for Indian Subcontinent Partition Documentation 1947. Ishpath 1947 channel. We have hundreds and hundreds of interviews of refugees, protectors, and survivors. He says, no, what's the big deal? I said, it's not a big deal. Your parents, brothers, mother, grandparents, sisters, uncles have been burned to death, and that's not a big deal. By the way, I've been to Noakhali many times. And because we still support, there is a Gandhi ashram in Noakhali. Um, we support education for the poor and the orphaned there. And then, as I started writing, I went deep into it. So this is a very serious contradiction. So as I mentioned, I call ourselves Hindus or Indians, suicidally fatalistic, tolerant, indigenous, self-divisive, coward people. Even today in India, or before, if you go back, see, when there was a 47 genocide, how many Indian states or ethnicities uh, marched? This is the first time in history since 46 or 47 partition that some people have protested, including in America, which included many secular Muslims who have come along. And that was the problem for me as I started to write. That why even, but I do not even consider these people even Hindus as Hindus. Because by the way, what you asked is the contradiction is I didn't read Gita before. Only after I came to America, a Bangladeshi group asked me to say something about chapter 2, and then I read, and then I taught human rights course, for which I had I have still several copies of Quran, several copies of Bible and all that. Anyway, so but even in there, Sri Krishna has told Arjun to fight back even against the family or the preacher who are doing wrong. Why haven't we taken from there? Why haven't you learned? So on the other hand, as I started, I saw the plight, very, very serious situation of the oppressed people in Bangladesh. And as I started Probini Foundation, there are people who came forward to help us. We built in Bangladesh 14 schools and orphanages and hostels. And also we have, um, uh, we also help other schools in West Bengal, Assam, and Mizoram. So that is our contradiction. And by the way, I knew your Yunus when he was, I no means I spoke to him between 71 and 73. I lived in Tallahassee, Florida, and he lived in Nashville. He may not remember me, but I continue. But I am more than shocked. I have no words to explain. How could a person like that, if you say it's a Nobel Prize in peace, could allow this genocide, this atrocity, not only against Hindus, but also against many secular Muslims? What kind of people? By the way, I am very upset even with our President Clinton and even Mrs. Clinton and Obama, that that they promote, not just promoted, but they have not said a word about all these atrocities.
I want to stop here and come to Jamal on this matter, because this is a very interesting element both of you have said. The disappointment with Clinton, Obama, Mrs. Clinton, and how Biden administration has kept quiet. They have not condemned the attack that is happening under Yunus's installation as the president. And you, Jamal, mentioned to me about it's time to fight back. It's time to fight. You also said, Sachi that, how come we have forgotten the lessons of Mahabharata chapter 2 of Krishna to Arjun? So the question here is, again, knowing what we know now. So this is the beauty of the today's technology-driven news transfer that happens. We know things rather quicker. We don't depend on a newspaper to tell us what happened 5 days later. We know things instantaneously. So I will do a fast forward here. Jamal, knowing what we know now, will Yunus be able to install the democratic traditions, or will it be a Sharia hardcore Islamist rule in Bangladesh? What is the real thing going on there?
Well, in Bangladesh, Yunus is basically an ambitious man. And if you want to say my personal impression about him, it's not very good. I was following him for a long time. 2012, I'm giving a story that one of my close relatives saw him in person in Stockholm, Sweden, and he just got his Nobel Prize. And my relative already knew about the SIDA funds and all this, how he abused the funds. So there was a documentary also. My relative actually went there in a book signing ceremony and got the book signed. But my relative already had presupposition or predisposition about his all wrongdoings, Yunus's. So instead of saying, good luck, I wish you good luck, he said, I wish you bad luck. Suddenly it came out. But it's true, in 2012, we have been following him. And we knew that how he used to assert that whatever, those benefits from those poor people. And instead of defaulters, you are a bank. You used to be a banker, Mr. Bhuti.
Yes.
And you know that, of course, this guy charged 28 to 30, whatever the percentage on poor people. And if somebody was a defaulter and a loan defaulter, and they would take out his shades of the houses or whatever, rooftops, anything they find, the cows, cats, anything they could find, they would snatch it from their house. He's Yunus's men. But regarding the political spectrum, I would like to say one thing. Personally, I understand, Bibhuti, I knew that you had a glorious background, and I understand that you fought against certain political establishment. Electorally in your Long Island, I came to know, and maybe today or tomorrow, who knows, someday you might be hopefully you a member of House of Representatives. I want to say one thing, that historically, Republican Party was more close to Islamist or whatever you call it. Mr. Reagan once greeted Taliban's or Mujahideens into White House. We knew that, but those are history. But gradually, Republican Party ultimately detached more and more from global Islamism, I would say, or Muslim Brotherhood, if you say. So Congressman Peter King, you might have seen him or known him. I was in touch with him when he started the congressional hearing on radicalization of Muslim youth in America. I was there. I attended some of the seminar sessions. And there I got connected with Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. Zuhdi Jasser was one of the people who gave testimony, and he was basically crucified by all of the Democrats, all the Democrat Congress. I saw that. This is before Ilhan Omar's circus. Keith Ellison was one of them.
Yes.
But I found out that left, unfortunately, like in Europe, in America also, it used to be American right or Republican were more close to global jihad or global, quote unquote, global Islamism. But it has been for the last 12, 14, more than almost 20 years, Democratic Party was more cozy with the Islamists. And that's how the Keith Ellison, Ilhan Omar, and Rashida Tlaib, and it all comes in the mix. Not only that, groups like CAR, CAIR, or ICNA, ISNA, they are also very much well tied with what? Tied with Muslim Brotherhood. But they are very good lobbyists. And obviously, you see the connection with the Democratic Party. And in that mix, you can see Clinton Foundation or Hillary Clinton's connection with Yunus in his student days, and then $750,000 donation in 1996, which was allegedly, noticed by some secular Bangladeshi Americans. So it is an open secret. And then year after year, Mr. Yunus, Dr. Muhammad Yunus used to donate money to Clinton Foundation. So it is not very unusual. Now, I want to give a good point now. You have to remember how global jihadis or global Islamists are tied to the Quota movement, the quote-unquote Quota movement, which is nothing but a jihadi movement in my book in Bangladesh. So Mr. Omar Sulaiman, remember, Omar Sulaiman is a famous Islamic preacher. He's a Palestinian American born in America. Now he is based in Dallas, Texas. Omar Sulaiman has a lot of following, and he has an American Muslims, especially in the age group of 20 to 40, that young group, young American Muslims, are fans of him. They worship him like a prophet or whatever you call it. No problem. Preaching is no problem. We know many people, ISKCON people do preaching. I know that, Krishna Prabhu does preaching. That is okay. But Omar Sulaiman did not bother about, I'm just giving an example, when Iranian young secular people were killed by Ayatollahs. He did not raise his tongue at all. He didn't say anything. But regarding the movement, he was very vocal. I can send you a lot of videos. He was out and out against Hasina government. Why? His job is not to talk about Hasina. His job is to preach gospel, Quran, Hadith to young American Muslims. So you understand how global Islamists are tied to the movement, number one. Number two, Muhammad Hijab. Muhammad Hijab is another YouTuber based in London. Muhammad Hijab. I can send you the links, video links. He was praying to Allah for what? For the success of the those people who ousted Hasina government. Hizbut Tahrir, Shibir, the student wing of Jamaat Islami. I'm giving another example. Vibhuti, you'd be stunned. I'm talking about Al Jazeera. You know Al Jazeera, that is basically Muslim Brotherhood mouthpiece from Doha, Qatar, our ally, our great ally in Middle East, Qatar.
Yes.
But Al Jazeera has been doing a lot of wrongdoing. Al Jazeera's local representative in Dhaka is Tanvir Chaudhry, whom I knew in 1997, 98. Those days, he was publishing a portal called online called News from Bangladesh. Now he is a representative of Al Jazeera. I saw in his Facebook, and it's already, the Facebook page is already circulated among many people. In the Facebook page, Sarjis Alam's statement is published. Sarjis Alam is one of the advisors, that who was hiding in Chhatrali, but he was originally a Shibir guy, a Islamist guy. He's a famous guy now, infamous or famous, what do you call it? Sarjis Alam. Google it, you find it. Sarjis Alam, in the Bengali text, Sarjis Alam was asking for revolt of the Bangladesh army soldiers. And he clearly said that it is your duty, moral duty, to raise up against your bosses because the country needs you. Remember, he is asking for open revolt, and that text was published where? In the Al Jazeera reporter Tanvir Chaudhry's Facebook. When it happened? In month of July. So, Vibhuti, Sachida, connect all the dots. If you say it was an indigenous student movement to oust a fascist government, give me a break. It was a well orchestrated, meticulously planned global jihadist fight against a secularly established government of Hasina. Maybe government is corrupt. Maybe that government was inept. But that government was far from being fascist. But now we see fascism 2.0. You know what is fascism? You cannot speak. 400 to 500, many of the reporters lost their license. You know that, many of them. And you cannot publish anything. People are being beheaded. Many of the Awami League supporters' houses are burnt. You cannot publish that. You understand? The other day, I saw on the video some of the mullahs with the tupi and like a white robe and one thing. They were attacking a kawali. Kawali is assumed to be Islamic musical thing. Kawali, you know the Kawali song.
Yes,
It's not
yes.
Hindu. It's a very Muslim. But they attack. So basically, what is happening? It's proliferating. The jihadi mentality is proliferating. They are trying to bring the country to the cave age, like a 700, 600. I mean, I would not say that. Maybe below 1,000 year BC, they want to bring the to stone age. I think they will not succeed. Vibhuti, things are changing in USA. Vibhuti, you know, after we will see a lot of dramatic changes. Sachida, don't lose your heart. Please don't lose your hope. That's
Thank you for that message, Jamal. Thank you for the message. Sachida, what I want to ask you is you have heard Jamal, you know each other very well, and we now know a lot more information. We have a lot more information than what would have been available once upon a time. So the point which I'm trying to come to you is, as you can see from Jamal's statement, all that has happened is a well-planned, executed ouster of Sheikh Hasina to install puppet regime there to further a specific agenda in which people from Hindu faith, or as you said, secular is Awami League and others, are being brutally destroyed. My focus to you would be, will there be a real revolt? Is there any hope for change, or are we going to be annihilated, as Jamal said earlier on, from population of 20 to 8, reduced to 2? What is going to happen, and what must we do now? My favorite phrase, everybody knows, I always ask, because in a corporate world, you always have to take a decision knowing what you know. So my question to you is, knowing what we know now, where do we go from here? What is the future for Hindus in Bangladesh? What is the future for Hindus everywhere else? Because, as you know, we are attacked in America now. We are branded as if we are the ultimate evil. Your thoughts on that now?
True, true. I mean, you put a very difficult question, and I'm not a future teller of the future. But what I would say, my experience has shown, if you stand up on your feet, if you fight back, you are going to win. So I would ask all the people to, first of all, do not give up. I have gone to Bangladesh every year. If I was there in Kolkata or in the subcontinent, I would have visited. As you know, if fear controls you, you're not going to win. And because I have been threatened here in America in 1990s, as I was helping Bangladesh minorities, I've been helping by a guy, Muslim name, telling all kinds of bad things. Somebody wrote it in the paper that I don't have even high school diploma, to denigrate me. But when they realized I'm not going to give up, they all fled. So my suggestion would be, treat the criminals as criminals. What they are doing, I'm not saying we automatically will be winning, but unless you challenge them, fight them back, they are going to win. So again, I'm not a religious person, but I quoted somebody from Gita that even Sri Krishna taught you to fight back against even if that was your family on the other side. But I'll add just a few things. By the way, I mean, 2 years ago, I nominated two people in Bangladesh uh, for Nobel Prize in Peace. They accepted it, but now this criminal government has arrested, put one of them behind bar, and the other one is a lawyer. He is still, but at this very moment, he is in India. And you'll be very happy that I nominated an oppressed person for Nobel Prize in Peace 2025. They have accepted it. So, coming back, my point is that if we just talk, because as I said, I have built schools. We just established three endowments or fixed deposit to help the poor and the oppressed. Generally, what you find that people's identity in India is very narrow. That means they would not come to help me if they speak a different language or if they speak stay somewhere else. Even within Bengalis, if you are from East Bengal, West Bengal, I mean, a refugee or not. So this is a very critical problem. By the way, one of the things I would mention you that even Clinton, Obama, or other people, if they're supporting these atrocities, it is one of the reason. Maybe India is the only surviving indigenous country with indigenous faith. That is to say, that faith has come up from the ground up and was not converted to monotheism like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, or atheism. So when there are attacks, that's why in 1971, where 3 million people were killed in Bangladesh, overwhelming majority were Hindus. Not one Muslim majority country criticized it. Not only that, not one Muslim majority country went to the United Nations to hold it responsible. Yet 90,000 Rohingyas came, and westernmost country in Africa, Gambia, they went to the Human Rights Court in the United Nations, and that is being um, considered and being considered against Burma or Myanmar. By the way, 71 genocide, all Muslim majority nations, Pakistan and all Muslim majority nations supported the mass killers, gave shelter. And you should not be surprised that in America, Canada, Britain, they also gave shelter to these mass murderers. And and by the way, America even sent their navy to Bay of Bengal to support the genocide. It was during Kissinger Nixon era. So these are the contradictions, very serious. And our problem is we are not living beings. We do not speak up. We do not fight back. And again, my experience is if you are serious enough, there are people with you from the majority community as well as others come forward. Yeah, as you said, in Bangladesh, we have built many schools, and when they paid over $1,000, we have their names there. So, there is a memorial point, but so few people, of course, many people who are Hindus who came to help, who are my friend, but in general, large scale, they didn't. So coming back to your question, yes, we can do, we have to do, and we can win. Do not get scared. Be careful. But if they tell you, you can go, you cannot do this and that, they are going to win, not us.
Thank you very much for your very stern, very polite, very straight up advice. Fight or die.
One
Or
more thing. before you go, I
Yes,
just thought I have authored many books, and
yes.
this is a book that has been, now people are documenting from 46 until 2001 census,
Mm.
where it shows from the census itself, from 47, 50 million missing, Hindus are missing, and it documents killing also. And this is a, and then I'm writing this one with my son, Hudson Ganga Marjar. It shows basically the culture of India and or subcontinent and America, and the contradictions. Because you'd be, maybe you are not, that in America, as good as we are very open, very pluralistic, yet massacres of us is not printed in papers.
Yes, there is a very important. I mean, I would love to catch up with your book and read about it and talk about it, because as much as it is what to do, but we can't do anything if you don't know what has happened in the past. So I would love to read that book sometime. I'll get it from you, and I'll buy it from Amazon and I'll read it. Jamal, I'm coming to the final question of the day. Is that we know a lot is happening. We know what is wrong. We know who is planning, plotting, and scheming these things. Politics, politics of religion, politics of region. You have been with the US government for a long time, and you have been in many capacities. You have participated. Do you see anything will change, or will it be politics as usual?
Very good question.
Thank you.
I already said that both the parties once appeased uh, Muslim Brotherhood type of entities globally. And even in one of the videos recently, I mentioned that our mistakes. U.S. Politics as usual. If you say, that's totally a dismal picture, and that is a very pessimistic view. I want to be optimistic, and I want to say people like us, even which are still connected with the US counter intel or counter terror efforts, very much well connected as I am. And I said also, as I was giving advice to Justice Department for many years, because I was told to give advice. So US Department of Justice. And not only that, even Homeland Security also time to time contacted me regarding certain aspects of Bangladesh. Anyway, what I want to say that this is the very difficult question, because many times it's that like Donald Lu, Peter Haas, those phenomenal people, that those people are part of the State Department, and they went and basically they were kowtowing Bangladesh Jamaat or BNP or religious rights in Bangladesh for many years during Hasina's time also. Their idea was because Sheikh Hasina and her father, they were very nationalist. Allegedly, they did not give any inch to foreign dominance, like American dominance, like when we were told that in 2001, Sheikh Hasina came to World Bank, and I was there. In 2001, Sheikh Hasina, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, I was in that same seminar in World Bank, USA, Washington, D.C. And then she just had a meeting with Bill Richardson, Energy Secretary. Actually, the question was India and USA both wanted both wanted that Bangladesh government under Sheikh Hasina should be more flexible in giving gas to India or something like that. And I asked the question to Hasina, remember, during question and answer session. Hasina said, no, we will wait 50 years from now until our grandchildren are self-sufficient, then we can think about that. And I realized that Hasina would lose the next election, and it happened. Because at the time, America and India's interest merged, and basically it was anti-Hasina thing. So recently, the most rumor was going on, and even the Russian media also published in December that there would be Arab Spring. We knew Arab Spring is going to happen. We knew there would be dead bodies on the streets. We knew deep state will be in action. It happened. But unfortunately, Sheikh Hasina was not alert, or or her security apparatus like the army, DGFI, they were compromised by millions of dollars. Okay, we are hopeful because America played always myopic views, and a lot of times the short-term gains. I told in one of the interviews what told. I told that in 1985 that Mr. Robert Oakley was American ambassador to Pakistan. He was very much cozy with Pakistani Jamaat, and Taliban was formed. We knew what happened. Taliban was formed in the oven of Pakistani America axis, and America was very very soft on Taliban. Taliban came back to Afghanistan and got contact with Al Qaeda, and Twin Tower happened, and America was upset, and America bombed Afghanistan. So what happened? We created a monster like Frankenstein's monster. We let it flourish, and when it attacked us, then we counterattack. This should not happen. I told in one of the videos, I totally was blunt. I was blunt and asked the Bangladesh Army General Waqaruzzaman that yes, we know America needs sometimes base. I worked in bases. I worked in Air Force Base in Al Udeid in Qatar, Air Force Base in Saudi Arabia. I know America needs bases. Supposing hypothetically America under Biden administration needs a base on St. Martin's Island, and Hasina refused because she's a nationalist leader. We know that. She refused, and America wanted to kick out Hasina, under Biden administration. But the problem is here, remember, we cultivated Taliban. Taliban brought Al Qaeda. What happened? Global jihad. Remember, indirectly, we were responsible, but we tried to address the mistake we have done, we remedy. But this should not be always. In Bangladesh case, it happened. It is happening again. It's happening now. What happened? Maybe we wanted to subdue Hasina and wanted some land grab or whatever Donald Lu wanted. Hasina did not give. Okay, we wanted to kick out Hasina, not because she's corrupt. We know that. We have been nurturing many corrupt leaders. So give me a break. Don't say that we are always for human rights. No, we are for I'm talking about America. We go for our national interest. So what's happening now? We created a situation where monstrous Hizbut. Oh, there is a guy with ISIS flag hoisting, and he's on a skateboard on Dhaka street. ISIS flag. Imagine we saw the ISIS flag the other day in New Orleans. In Bangladesh, there are groups with the ISIS flag marching on the street also. We see what? We see in the university, engineering university, they are stamping on flags of Israel, USA, and India. Okay, anti-America, everything. We created a monster. We created, whether it's a Bill Clinton, Kamala Harris, Yunus Gong, I don't know, but it looks like that. It looks like Yunus got very good support from certain sections of US. It doesn't have to be Senate, it doesn't have to be Congress, but America, unfortunately, is scattered with different power centers. Some of the power centers in America supported Yunus. Now we created a hotbed of jihad. Now, how to put the genie in the bottle, I don't know. Bibhuti, business cannot be as usual. We have to put the genie back in the bottle. That's my
Thank you. Thank you very much for saying so. You said you are an optimist. I'm known as an incorrigible optimist. So I believe that, eventually dharmic thing will prevail. That's what I always believe in. Eventually, it takes a lot of tough paths to go forward. Sachida, I want to ask you the final question of the day. After that, we will close the show today, conversation, but we will have more. We need to talk more about it. One of the key issues is that this government of Yunus is a temporary government. It's an installed government. Do you think, taking the cue from Jamal's optimism, that there will be genuine democracy in Bangladesh? Will there be a genuine democracy in Bangladesh? How can Yunus demand things from India that India must do when this government is an illegitimate temporary government? Your take.
You put a very difficult question, and I don't think I cannot predict future, but that is not will not happen. But before I go, I'll just mention something. Even during Hasina's power, during 2021, during Durga Puja, there was a pogrom. They destroyed over 340 temples. I think she succumbed to the extremists. She thought she is losing power or something, and we followed. I wrote letters, and even our senator here wrote back to me that we're going to couple of millions of dollars to Bangladesh to help the minorities, but I don't know who did it. Also, I I was asked to present twice in Congress about human rights issues in Bangladesh, which I did. Yet all the politicians ignored because our lives do not matter to them. You know. So coming back to your question, uh, listen, the other side of the story, you can. I hope you do not think I'm being prejudiced. One, see, tell me, except for Indonesia, which Muslim majority nation has tolerant pluralistic rule? Even in, you see, this is the problem of the world. They often criticize India, but India has. I have no problem doing that, but it has taken all the indigenous people from local people. They drove out from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Bhutan, Tibet, and that's India, because we do not have our unified identity. When people march in, we do. Even West Bengal has over 40 million people of Bangladeshi origin, whom we call Bengal, so, or is Bengali. So it is not easy, but if you have people who are tolerant, who are pluralistic, it can be done. But on the other hand, it has to be supported by rest of the world, not for power, but for plurality and tolerance, which, as Jamal Babu just mentioned, that even America overthrew her for very narrow reason. And that politics is not part of me. You'll be very happy to know that I'm the first person of our origin in New York State to run and get elected. I was elected in 1996. So it can be done. But on the other hand, the politicians, as you mentioned, the Lu, why are you changing this? I mean, this is not normal politics, which I do not support. Even somebody who taught human rights for over 4 decades, politics of India and South Asia for 4 decades, these Western powers, if they think our lives do not matter, we have to fight back.
Thank you very much. You are a professor emeritus, and teaching in New York. It's a very great pride for me to welcome you to the show, and thank you very much for coming, Jamal. To you too, and I'm glad we met. I'm glad we connected. I'm very glad that we are having this conversation. This is important. This conversation doesn't begin and end today. It is just the beginning. We have to educate average Joe, if I may use the American slang. We have to, teach people who are misguided, and the truth must be told. As I say it in my shows, I always end by saying, Satyameva Jayate, you know it. Both of you know the meaning of Satyameva Jayate. But I also know that truth will triumph only if we stand up and fight for it. Truth doesn't triumph on its own sitting under a banyan tree. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the show today. And this is important because sometimes we live with something and then comes the boiling point. I think Bangladesh Hindu genocide, which started from as many years ago in the history, Noah Khali cannot be repeated again. And Hindus, if you tolerate and accept that kind of a fate, even God will not help you. So with these thoughts, I'll say, arise, awaken, assert, and act. Because if you don't act, knowing what you know, God is waiting for you to act. That's what the learning is. Thank you very much for joining. Please like, subscribe, and support our channel. Jamal Bhai and Sachi Dada, we will see you again very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Dhanyabad.
Dhan-